Madoka Magica's universe is very twisted due to the premise of the story. A tiny creature granting wishes to unsuspecting girls who will now have to fight against monsters seems like a fun time. But the big twist is that the story of Madoka Magica is the stories of Madoka Magica. Parallel worlds exist, and the anime is just the one correct timeline. And the original Weiss Schwarz set for Madoka Magica and even the movie plays a little bit into this theme with cards that care about going to memory and change. Some of them are for transformations that happen throughout the show, but others evoke this sense of characters becoming their other selves, growing stronger but also thematically a different version of themselves, as if going through a different timeline. Timelines have allowed the series to have multiple unassuming spin-offs that don't affect the canon. One such spin-off has become quite a mainstay, Magia Record. Magia Record expands on the original iconic magical quintet, adding in a slew of different characters and teams. Before all of the adaptations, it was just a mobile game, and thus the first Magia Record Weiss set didn't have a unifying story. This isn't to say the mobile game has no story, but it's a lot harder to get specific spotlight card art when the medium you're in is text. And that's why most of the mobile game set features characters not in the show, and with scenes not always relevant to the plot. While the set was fine for what it was, and had a lot of interesting synergies and callbacks to the original sets, they did ignore a core part of the story that would not get implemented until the anime. The simple explanation of what the Doppels system is for the mobile game is an ultimate skill for players to use. However, by creating a system where magical girls can explode in a burst of magic and unleash their inner demons, a new storytelling avenue is created, one where the previous dangers of the series, succumbing to negative energy and turning into a witch, is gone. There is now tension for new threats, and for the people who created this system. In a turn of beauty, the themes and complications of the spin-off taking and expanding on the source material's universe also applies to how they designed the Magia Record anime set. To represent the characters receiving damage and slowly being corrupted, key characters who we see in the show using a Doppel receive a marker. Just like they're slowly tainting soul gems, as they receive more markers, they get close to being a witch, or in this universe, activating their Doppel. There's also a very specific requirement that these cards have to be level 2 or higher, which is an interesting choice. The higher a card's level, generally, the higher their overall strength, or potential to be strong. They can do more things, and are cards that we want to see when we get to those levels. To have those cards be put underneath as markers, or indicators of damage, shows the severity of what is happening. In terms of the story, this is also a precursor to what these support cards will soon become. They're taking damage from stronger entities as they will soon become that. We can even see this sense of unnatural and sudden growth by them being level 1 cards, turning into level 3 cards once enough markers have been accumulated, or once the girls receive enough corruption in their soul gems. One trick to always ensuring you can meet the requirement of having their Doppel forms in the waiting room is to just tuck one under as you take damage. Mechanically, that ensures you always have a target, and the way the card is worded, they are nudging you to do that. But it's also a neat way to indicate what is happening as this effect is resolving. The Doppel doesn't just come out of nowhere, it's what lurks underneath these characters, it's what they harbor in their hearts. And so as they are released, they come back onto the stage, transforming them into incomparable monsters. Kaide's Doppel, while having more power between the two across turns due to her first effect, isn't actually one that has an offensive ability outwardly. When she comes in, she's able to get 2 extra characters from the top 4 of your deck, and in some cases even setting up what you're triggering for attacks. Since Kaide plays a supporting role on her team, it makes sense that her ability is to replenish resources, but she still is turning into a dangerous monster, out of necessity to protect her friends. Thus, Even if she is replenishing resources, she'll still stand her ground. If she manages to survive and stay on stage, she is forced to, even if you don't have the target, to change. A way to circumvent this is to just have her level 3 target also under the level 1 and hope your waiting room is there as your turn comes around. If you do get to change with the Doppels, you'll get their finisher variants. For Kaede, since she is more of a support role, is an off finisher. She doesn't combo off of a climax, and she's really there to sneak in extra damage with an attack boost on top. The other Doppel is Iroha's, and immediately we can already see a large contrast in their effects. The way to get her Doppel is the same, but here when Iroha's Doppel enters the field, she'll immediately sack an opponent's card, which makes sense. When she uses her Doppel, it was more outwardly to defeat a monster, and she later utilizes it to fight. Once she changes out, in the same way, since she is more of a combatant, her finisher is an actual finisher, with a climax and a more clearly defined way to close the game. I really appreciate the opportunities multi-set series have in terms of being able to expand on and even incorporate missing parts of previous flavorful identities. The further we go in the future, I'm sure more sequel sets or spin-off sets will keep pushing for interesting effects well ingrained in the flavor of those stories. Magia Record's Doppel system started as a way for the mobile game to integrate a system for ultimate attacks, which then created interesting complications for story diversions, and now a flavorful inclusion for Weiss Schwarz.